It isn't uncommon to find old teapots in an elderly home. But unlike other teapots, this one is not ordinary. It was discovered by a guest while cleaning out her grandmother's place. On the bottom of the teapot is a signature from George Orr, an American ceramic artist and the self-proclaimed Mad Potter of Biloxi in Mississippi. He is considered by some as the precursor to the American abstract expressionism movement. There are some chips on the pot's rim, but overall, it is a very neat piece, which is a reflection of Orr's fascinating works. This teapot being one of George Orr's finest works, also being in such a pristine condition, shoots up its valuation at auction to be
as much as $15,000 on today's market. It's a good piece. It's a very nice piece.
Showcased on the show is a uniquely designed chair presented by a guest who purchased it at a thrift store in Anchorage, Alaska in 1996. This chair is crafted in the form of a tulip. Interestingly, it was designed by renowned artists Erwin and Estelle Laverne, who trained as painters at the Art Student League under Hans Hofmann.
Unlike their contemporaries, they were not designers or architects, they were artists.
Furthermore, this chair dates back to circa 1960 and is made of fiberglass. At the base, we can see the enameled metal that makes up the chair's legs. However, the chair has incurred some wear over time. Regardless of the wear, this piece is an innovative work by such exemplary artists and is estimated to be worth
between $1,000 and $1,500.
Wow! Oh, that's great. Well, it is a family heirloom then,
Now
but I
it
think
is.
I'll keep it, yeah.
The story of this cane begins in the Civil War, when a relative from the guest's father's side fought for the North and was captured by the Confederate Army. Joseph Nelson found himself in the infamous rebel prison number 4 in Danville, Virginia. Injured during his escape, Joseph crafted a cane from a tree and marked it with his daring escape tale. Under the cloak of darkness, Joseph and his comrades carved their escape, leaving behind a trail of pictures and names. Cane recounts their daring escape, including surprising the guards and traveling over 600 miles through challenging landscapes. The cane tells of their daring escape, surprising the guards and crossing over 600 miles of harsh terrain. Joseph's survival amidst snow and storms culminated in a reunion with his Union comrades in 1864, immortalized in the cane's carvings. Authenticity of Joseph's story can be verified by using online archives. Civil War canes are common, but this one stands out as a uniquely rare historical treasure.
I think this is probably a $5,000 to $7,000 cane at auction. It is one of the best Civil War canes I've ever seen.
Thank you.
In the 1930s, the guest's father and uncles joined the Navy, and Uncle Frank's team rescued the sunken Squalus submarine. Their efforts earned them the Navy Cross. The Squalus disaster marked a pivotal moment in submarine history with catastrophic shakedown failure.
A fault in the main induction valve and water came pouring in. Instead of a controlled descent, it was an uncontrolled descent with the boat filling with water.
Submariners aim for equal numbers of surface operations and dives. Swede Mommsen led and saved 33 individuals in a rescue operation. There were distinct operations for rescue and salvage. Uncle Frank carved in his spare time aboard the ship. Navy Good Conduct Medal and Navy Cross attest to his service. It's not typically engraved, but we know the recipient in this case. Squalus Rescue earned 4 Medals of Honor and 46 Navy Crosses. Salvage diving, perilous in itself, saw the Squalus revived as the USS Sailfish. Appraiser evaluates Navy Cross as
Over $600 for a World War II Navy Cross.
Value of this grouping lies in its historical importance.
Between $6,000 and $7,000.
Wow. Much more than I anticipated.
During a visit to Vienna in the 1980s, the guest was captivated by a stunning peacock feather brooch displayed in a shop window.
Every time I passed, I stopped to sort of gasp and say how wonderful it was. And on the third day, my husband said he was going to buy it for me.
The brooch's lifelike qualities and its ability to tremble realistically, a technique known as entremblant, is really impressive. Diamonds, sapphires, and a central cabochon emerald further enhance the piece's beauty. The brooch has similarities to the work of Boucheron, a renowned Parisian jeweler. It resembled a central element from Boucheron's question mark necklace, crafted in silver gold in 1883. Based on its quality, its estimated value is around
£25,000.
Really?
Making its appearance as a highly coveted piece of rock history, the fretless guitar. This incredible guitar is a fretless prototype crafted by Bartles of California in the 1960s. It was once owned by John Lennon and George Harrison, who belongs to the famous band The Beatles. This guitar entered the guest's possession during recording sessions in the 1970s and 1980s. He even played a mesmerizing tune with a legendary guitar. Guest shared a photograph of George Harrison with the guitar to provide its authenticity. Guitar was valued for both its rarity and its association with two iconic rock stars. Acknowledging the guitar's rarity and its significance, an estimate of the value was made.
Would suggest that at auction, I wouldn't be surprised if it made between £300,000 and £400,000.
Should I have the drink?
Guest's grandmother's husband assembled this toy train collection between two world wars. It was packed away in 1928 and remained untouched for 70 years. The collection includes trains from renowned British makers like
Hornby, you've got Bassettloke, you've got Leeds, the top three, really, of the locomotive and rolling stock makers.
representing the history of the British toy train industry. Backlock, inspired by German toy train makers like Markland and Currier,
that was so successfully exporting into the UK that he looked at that and he said, perhaps I can do a bit of that.
which later supplied trains to be retailed by Hornby. The collection includes a Backlock 440 locomotive in tender and mint condition, likely untouched for decades, and a clockwork locomotive from Hornsby's early years, around 1920 to 1922. The appraiser estimates that the collection could fetch around
£10,000.
Would it?
And I mean, I may be a tad conservative on that.
Considering its pristine condition and historical significance in the British toy train industry. Guest brought a collection of memorabilia that belonged to her mother, Jackie Mogridge, a pioneering pilot who served in the Air Transport Auxiliary, ATA, during World War II. Her desire to fly commercially led her to England in 1938, where she attended the Whitney Aeronautical College in Oxford. However, the growing need for ferry pilots during the war presented an opportunity for Jackie. This blue book contained crucial information on various aircrafts, including takeoff and landing speeds, as pilots were expected to fly a wide range of planes. Following the war, Jackie continued her flying career, joining the RAF Air Reserve and eventually landing a commercial pilot job with Channel Airways. ATA memorabilia, particularly items belonging to a distinguished pilot like Jackie Mogridge, were extremely rare. While the guest had no intention of selling the collection at auction, its potential value is between...
And it could easily make between 30 and 40,000.
The guest presented a captivating work of art, an intricately carved sculpture crafted from limewood. Inheriting it from their father, who most likely acquired it at a dispersal sale near Manchester, the guest was eager to learn more about it. Upon closer examination, several key elements served as clues to the artwork's age and artistic style. The presence of ho-ho birds, a whimsical design element characteristic of the Rococo period, placing the creation date around 1730 to 1740. Further enriching the scene was a central tableau depicting a late 17th or early 18th century ship. Drawing upon these insights, the estimated date of the piece's date falls between 1740 and 1760. At auction, its value is around
£6,000 to £9,000 on this.
Cool. Guest brought in a remarkable collection of treen, wooden items crafted from mulberry wood. It is immediately recognized as Berdolatry, souvenirs with a unique connection to William Shakespeare. The pieces had been passed down through her husband's family, and they were particularly fond of the intricate turning on the salt cellars. Shakespeare, it turned out, had planted a mulberry tree on his property, New Place in Stratford-upon-Avon. Some 200 years later, a new owner, tired of the constant stream of visitors drawn to the tree, had it chopped down.
And he chopped up the trunk and the logs, and they were dispersed amongst local wood turners and carvers.
The collection includes 2 exquisite examples of bardolatry, a writing box featuring Shakespeare's coat of arms and portrait with compartments for ink and pens, and a snuff box with a relief carving of Shakespeare's face that requires twisting his head to open. Both pieces displayed a beautiful patina, a mark of age that collectors highly value. The writing box was valued at around
£4,000.
The salt cellars at £2,000 each, and the snuff box at £2,500, bringing the total to a staggering
something like £8,500.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
My goodness.
The guest displayed a beautiful bronze sculpture cherished for 60 years. The lovely piece had been given to the lady as a wedding gift. It was crafted by Bessie Potter Vonnoh, an accomplished bronze artist. The appraiser provided background on the artist's life and career.
Her father died when she was quite young, and so her mother moved to Chicago, where Bessie enrolled in the Chicago Art Institute, and she studied art there.
The sculpture, dated in 1895, displayed intricate details including lifelike folds in the dress and a signature ponytail with a bow. The item was also marked as Bessie Onno-Atema Potter, the artist's married name. The appraiser mentioned Bessie's marriage to Impressionist painter Robert Vonnoh in 1899. The sculpture bore the Roman Bronzeworks foundry mark and was designated as an edition of 1, making it unique. Citing its rarity and artistic quality, the appraised value suggested was around
$15,000 to $25,000.
My goodness.
The guest inherited an antebellum slave journal from their father, who collected black history books. He acquired it from a bookstore in Nashville for $50 in the 1960s. The journal documents the life of Creed, a slave, from 1824 to 1860, noting his work on the farm, his skills, family, and even his trip to Washington, D.C.
When Daniel Graham, the slaveholder, went to Washington as the assistant treasurer of the United States, Creed was the main gardener and market man.
The journal contains entries for over 70 slaves, including vaccination records, highlighting the humanity and daily lives of the enslaved individuals. Our guest intends to research and find the families of the slaves mentioned in the journal to share stories about their ancestors. The appraiser values this antebellum slave journal at
in the range of $15,000 to $20,000.
Okay.
You'd want this insured for in the kind of $25,000.
This mouse organ has a unique history, once belonging to the legendary Johnny Cash, known as the Man in Black. The owner recalls a memorable encounter with Johnny Cash at the Apollo Theatre in Glasgow in 1984.
I was sitting right in the front row. He called me out and he held me down his mouth organ. I was shocked myself as he bent down the stage and threw it down to us.
Johnny Cash, a music icon with hits spanning multiple genres, including country and rock and roll, used this organ during his performances in the 1950s and 1960s. While the organ is not signed by Cash, its provenance as a concert-used item adds to its value. Given the passionate following of Johnny Cash fans, at auction, this mouse organ could fetch upwards of
certainly be upwards of £1,000, perhaps 2,000, maybe more. Is it something that you're thinking of maybe selling, or are you going to hand it down?
No, that'll go for the long sleep along with me.
Sometimes paintings are acquired because of how we resonate with them, and surely that's the case with these paintings presented by our guest today. They are paintings done by a famous Austrian-American, Ludwig Bemelmans. Bemelmans was best known for his children's book series, Madeline. One of the paintings, depicted as Madeline in London, was done in a gouache overlay. The other piece is a painting of a dog intended for another person's book and was done before Bemelmans started illustrating for his Madeline books.
Likely that this sketch, if it's contemporaneous with the book, would have been done in about 1936, a few years before the Madeline series and well before the 1961 Madeline in London.
These pairs of works, each different illustrations but carrying Bemelmans' use of whimsical characters, would each sell for
$12,000 to $15,000.
Whoa!
The guest brought an inscribed card with a box that was presented to her great-grand-aunt. It is an official-looking box having the Department of Justice on it, and underneath it is written Robert Kennedy. He was an American politician and lawyer known by his initials RFK and served as the 64th United States Attorney General. He was also the U.S. Senator from New York from January 1965 until his assassination on June 1968, when he was running for the Democratic presidential nomination. Inside the box is an official card of the Attorney General in Washington.
And it says, "Dear Mrs. Wright, we all miss you terribly. Come back quickly. Affectionately, Robert Kennedy."
It was a beautiful sentiment Robert had sent to her, which was not something a government official of that caliber do often.
Unfortunately, the condition of it is not 100%.
Right, yeah.
There was some staining that has affected the signature and the actual inscription.
The sentiment was heartfelt, and the person who signed it is super important. Although this piece was not in 100% condition, but because of the writer's reputation, it is valued at
auction, I would say a conservative estimate would be $400 to $600 for the note.
Okay.
Only a few items can be considered as almost priceless, and this ukulele by Augusto Diaz is part of the very few. Despite the size of this ukulele, it still exudes perfection in the form of attention to detail. It is this expertise and details, plus because it was made by Augusto, that makes this priceless item to auction at
just $15,000. Oh, you're kidding me. Wow.
This pansy brooch, passed down through generations, dates back to around the turn of the 20th century, between 1900 and 1910. Featuring 3 beautifully enameled pansies, it's a rare find compared to the more common single pansy brooches of that era.
And this one also has a great enamel coloring to it.
The brooch is adorned with old European cut diamonds, typical of the period, with one of the pansies designed to move, symbolizing drops of dew. Despite its age, the enamel has survived remarkably well, showcasing...
My grandmother wore it, and then my mother wore it.
They took excellent care of it. That's great.
The brooch bears the signature of Tiffany Studios, possibly designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. While smaller pansy brooches of this type typically sell for around $5,000, this larger, more intricate piece with high-quality diamonds could fetch between...
You could easily get $15,000 to $20,000 for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Today's guest shows us one of the portraits drawn by one of the world's best painters in the 19th century, Sir Lawrence Alma-Tadema. This painting represents the portrait of our guest's ancestor, and according to the appraiser, the guest's ancestor was a very important man to Sir Lawrence.
His dealer, Gambart, about whom, incidentally, my father wrote a book.
We can see there is also another painting here by Sir Lawrence, which is painted in complete white. The painting that represents the guest's father indicates that he was doing an engraving for Tadema, which at the time was a very important job. For an artist of the caliber of Tadema, this painting will surely fetch a hefty price at auction and is valued at...
So I'm going to say £1,000 to £2,000 on that. In recent times, he's become very valuable again. He holds the record for a Victorian painting at $36 million. I'm going to put it at £200,000 to £300,000.
The guest's fascination with Muhammad Ali stems from his admiration for the boxer's impact on sports and society, particularly his activism and resilience. Acquired at charity auctions, these photos capture key moments in Ali's career and personal life, reflecting... The earliest photo from 1964 shows Ali with the Beatles, taken when Sonny Liston refused to meet the band, leading to this iconic moment. Another photo depicts Ali's controversial knockout of Liston in 1965, known as the Phantom Punch fight. The final photo is from the historic fight of the century in 1971, the first bout between Ali and Frazier, which ended in Frazier's victory. These oversized reprint photographs were typical charity auction items.
You have these what look like signatures here, but these are reproductions.
Okay. While the signatures on the photos are not original, the Muhammad Ali signature on one of them is authentic, dating from later in Ali's life. With the Beatles photo valued at...
In terms of value, this one would be between $1,000 and $1,500.
The Ali signature photo at...
Between $2,000 and $3,000.
And the fight of the century photo at...
The century, again, about $1,500 to $2,000.
Okay. They have given me a lot of joy, but no, they're not worth more than $4,000.
This jadeite pendant, estimated to be from the early 20th century, features a motif of peaches, oranges, and songbirds, symbolizing prosperity.
And Chinese people love them.
Okay.
Yes, it's very auspicious.
Okay.
And oranges too.
Okay.
And the songbirds, I think it's here, means marital harmony.
The pendant's vibrant colors and intricate carving make it a valuable piece, with the pink stones identified as tourmaline. Chinese art and antiques, particularly jade items, are in high demand, suggesting a promising value for this pendant. With its auspicious symbolism and excellent condition, at auction, this jadeite pendant can fetch an impressive
Conservative prices, but at the auction it should do 10 to 15,000.
Oh my
Yes.
word! Huh.
So you should be careful.
Yes!
This is an astounding piece of furniture. Our guest acquired the table from a house they purchased in Virginia.
The first house that we owned was in Great Falls, Virginia, and it was owned by a couple that built the house around this furniture.
This end table was crafted by the father of the American craft movement, George Katsutoshi Nakashima. Nakashima was an American woodworker, architect, and furniture maker, renowned as one of the leading innovators in 20th century furniture design. The architectural design on the top of this piece reflects to the artist's unconventional style. This furniture is made from walnut wood, as is typical of most of his work. It also features the signature of the great innovator.
The piece is also signed by George Nakashima, which adds to the value.
We asked him if he would do that for us.
He was often reluctant to sign furniture. Early stuff is never signed.
Pieces like this, which speaks to Nakashima's ingenuity and innovative spirit, are rare, and at an auction will be worth at least
$20,000 to $25,000.
Oh my goodness.
When you hear Wizard of Oz, most people automatically think that's one of the best movies of all time. Truth be told, they are right. And today's guest's great-grandfather was one of the movie's earliest actors.
The value that it could hold. When my grandfather passed away, it was willed to me.
And here we have a wonderful photograph of your great-grandfather, and it's to your grandfather.
Yes.
And that face, who can forget that face?
Most people know him as Burt Lair. He played the role of the Cowardly Lion in the famous movie Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is one of the earliest movies produced and was released in the year of 1939.
Wizard of Oz was released in 1939 and has continued in popularity to its iconic status today. This is his script that he used on set.
The script here is the one Burt used to play the Cowardly Lion, and it's one for the ages. As one of the few pieces of pure cinema back in the day, this script is surely going to be able to fetch at least...
As far as scripts belonging to members of the cast, it doesn't get much better than the Cowardly Lion, and here it is. Obviously, this is a family heirloom. I wouldn't insure it for anything less than $150,000.
It's definitely a lot more than I thought it was going to be valued at, and insurance is a necessity.
It is, definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
Well, thank you very much.
It's incredible. It makes me miss my dad even more. He's gone.
In 1965, the Guest family moved to D.C. for her dad's job. Her sister played viola, and she wanted to learn violin. As a kid, she found a unique violin at a shop with a white to brown finish and a wax seal. It read M.D.
60 violins hanging from the ceiling. I mean, they must have been down low enough that you could grab them. But I just remember walking into this room.
It cost $600, a significant sum back then. But despite that, her dad bought it for her. Inside, a label suggests that the violin was made around 1750. It's likely German, possibly made in Nuremberg. The skillful artistry is impressive, with intricate carving and clean work resembling the common Amati model. Original dark finish has worn over time, however, it surprisingly retains its original neck, a rarity. Structurally, it's great, but needs some cosmetic touch-ups. In a retail shop, it can fetch
at least $10,000, and I'm thinking somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Oh, you've got to be kidding. That's incredible. my dad even more. He's gone.
Violin's current appraisal puts its value between a captivating $12,000 and an enticing $18,000.
Oh, had I known that, I would have bought more paintings from him.
I wish you had.
When we hear World War II, a large part of us automatically thinks war or bad experiences. But today's item, although talks about World War II, was more focused on depicting it in art form. Drawn by Harry Gottlieb, an American painter and screen printer who was prominent during the 20th century.
His name is Harry Gottlieb, and this is oil on canvas. Gottlieb is an interesting fellow because he is kind of emblematic of the social realist school of painting in New York in the mid-20th century.
We have here his oil painting, which to most people might just resemble folks playing cards, but in actual sense are talking about the political situation around World War II. This was confirmed by the artist himself to the guest before the guest bought the artistic piece. Truth be told, oil paintings are not easy to create, and it only takes an expert to be able to accurately represent thoughts such as this in painting form. Hence, this painting auctions at
$15,000 and $20,000.
Oh, had I known that, I would have bought more paintings from him.
I wish you had.
Only a few people in the world can boast of being one of the most resilient entrepreneurs ever. Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, was one of those people. As we can see, today's guest shows us a suit and a signed photo belonging to Colonel Sanders.
From 75 to 1980, we lived right next to Colonel Sanders.
Perhaps the most surprising story behind how our guest got these items is that according to the guest, Colonel Sanders slept in their basement, despite being a big shot. As we can see, the suit still maintained its quality after all these years. And also, the painting exudes elegance and shows it was painted by an expert. It's no wonder that for a piece that was worn by such a resilient man, and that also depicts him, these items are valued at...
It was actually a charity auction. One of the suits auctioned off for $80,000.
Wow.
But she told me that was for charity, so it probably would have went for more. She did say that this valued at between $30,000 and $50,000. I was not expecting, I had no idea.
This stunning painting by W.H.D. Corner, acquired by the guest's father in the early 1970s, is a remarkable piece of Western-themed art. W.H.D. Corner, born in 1878, was known for his illustrations in the Saturday Evening Post, was a self-taught artist who became an expert in Western history, tools, and dress. The painting, likely completed in early 1935 or late 1934, showcases Corner's attention to detail, with elements like
the hanging chili peppers, which are known as ristras, the hat, the kerchief, even this wonderful belt with these silver medallions,
reflecting his meticulous research into Western culture. The piece, oil on canvas, was created by joining two stretched canvases, a unique aspect that adds to its charm and character. The painting's signature corner style and dramatic composition suggest a scene of imminent conflict, possibly a shootout, adding to its narrative power. At auction, this stunning painting is valued at around...
I would expect the price to be around $150,000.
Really? Excellent.
The guest's great-grandfather was a missionary to Haines, Alaska in the 1890s, and these masks have been in the family since then. The masks are believed to be from the Tlingit tribe.
These date to the 1700s.
Oh my.
Making them extremely rare and valuable. This mask on the left depicts a wolf, a revered animal symbolizing strength and hunting prowess. The mask on the right likely represents an ancestor or guardian figure. Both masks are shamanic, used in spiritual rituals to connect with the natural and spiritual worlds. The use of natural pigments and materials, such as cedar or spruce wood, adds to their authenticity and value. The appraiser estimates that the wolf mask could sell for around
$75,000.
While the guardian mask could fetch around
$175,000. We never see...
3 years ago at a garage sale, the guest bought it for $25. It is a tollware container used for storing important documents. Tollware, also known as Japanware, refers to items made of thin metal in New York State. Various painting schools or shops decorated tin objects with hand-painted designs, including floral or geometric motifs, often with hinged lids and locks for security. It is popular in the 19th century. We can see the details of the box.
Wonderful bright flowers. You have these green and yellow leaves. And in the background, this purple color.
Examining the box, much of it appears to be missing, significantly impacting its value. This box typically boasted painted swags on the ends and intricate decorations on top. With its intricate designs and historical significance, the appraiser values the item.
This box is easily worth in the range of about $1,100 to $1,400. About
No
$1,400,
way.
yeah.
Wow.
The 1903 Folk Art Presentation plaque is a remarkable testament to craftsmanship and storytelling. During the evaluation, a special folk art piece is shown, bought 25 years ago at an auction in Poughkeepsie, New York. It's made of a kind of strong wood and has pictures of bears on toilets. The person checking it really likes how unique it is, saying it would appeal to different kinds of people, like plumbers and folks who collect old pictures. It's gotten rusty over time. This amazing thing was made by a person from Germany who moved to America. You'll notice the bears carved in the style of Germany's Black Forest. There's even 2 bears in a bathtub, and at the very top, there's a picture of the man. While examining the item, the appraiser said,
Now easily at auction, because of the cross appeal, because it's a great piece of folk art, this piece would be worth easily $4,000 to $6,000.
That's hard to believe.
Acquired by the guest's mother at a church rummage sale in the 1970s, this Van Briggle pottery piece is a testament to her interest in collecting. Van Briggle, known for his innovative pottery designs, worked in Colorado Springs from around 1900 until his death in 1904.
Then his wife Anna continued until around 1912 or 1913, where she sold the company to some investors and is still in business today.
This particular piece, dated 1903, bears a double A mark for Artis and Anne, signifying the period when the couple worked together, creating some of their most creative and beautiful pots. The vessel, featuring embossed floral designs, is painted in matte glazes, with blue flowers set against a white background and additional color on the stems. Only a small percentage of Van Briggle pottery pieces are dated during his lifetime, and even fewer are painted with 3 colors, making this piece exceptionally rare. The appraiser conservatively estimates its value at auction to be between
I would estimate it for between $2,500 and $3,500.
Wow!
Okay, and probably more like $3,000 to $4,000.
Awesome! That's wonderful. My mom would be thrilled.
We are presented with a Gibson mandolin on today's episode, which was acquired by the guest from a garage sale about 40 years ago.
What are you going to do with that? And I said, I have no idea, but I like it.
The piece was crafted by the Gibson Guitar and Mandolin Company in 1920, characterized by its fancier rosettes and a decorative end of the fingerboard. Additionally, this item is an A4 model with a black finish, still in excellent condition, highlighting its uniqueness. Fascinatingly, it also includes an original case, also kept in excellent condition. It's uncommon to find an item like this with its original case still intact. This artistic piece will auction at
$3,000. And what did you pay for it originally?
$25.
Oh, that's not bad.
This stucco head, dating back to the Mayan civilization from 600 to 900 AD, has a remarkable history. It was removed from the facade of a building, likely in Mexico.
And this came into Europe probably sometime 1920s, 1930s.
The guest's grandfather, a third-generation dealer in Austria.
They confiscated everything he owned, and he escaped with this piece and a few other pieces.
It was later passed down to the guest's father and then to the guest. Despite its age, the stucco head is in remarkable condition, with traces of polychrome still visible. It's rare to find such a fragile piece intact, as many similar pieces are often broken and restored. The delicate balance and the sensitivity of the facial features of the stucco head add to its aesthetic appeal and value. This stucco head is estimated to be worth between...
I think this is a $20,000 to $30,000 object.
Wow. Diamond ring, features lab-grown square or rectangular diamonds set closely together without metal around them. It's replicating the vintage or Art Deco aesthetic with enhanced brilliance. The guest found this ring while hunting for old bottles by the Milwaukee River. It's a man-made diamond ring. The center stone looks like a French-cut sapphire, but is actually a synthetic one with the same properties as natural sapphire, and it's man-made.
However, the diamonds are real, as is the metal around it. And the metal around it is white gold, done in beautiful piercing work.
Originating in the 17th century, they regained popularity in the Art Deco era. The guest found this ring together with 39 other rings. The diamond ring holds its worth as the appraiser values the item.
At auction, it's worth between $150 and $250.
Okay,
so I think I'll go down by the river. Thank you so much for coming to the Antiques Roadshow.
At first glance, these photographs might look ordinary, but there's nothing ordinary about them. These photographs were given to the guest by her father. What makes these photographs unique is that they are personally autographed by Babe Ruth, a professional American baseball player who achieved great fame as a slugging outfielder for the New York Yankees. Babe Ruth was a friend of the guest's uncle and aunt, and they took a lot of photographs together back in the day. Set in the middle of these photographs is a large 14 by 11 photograph. Another interesting aspect of these photographs is their authenticity evident from the unusual autographs.
But I've never seen a Babe Ruth as a 3-year-old photo inscribed, and what an inscription this is.
These photographs are also well preserved. For a legend like Babe Ruth, who is arguably considered one of the greatest baseball players in history, it is not far-fetched that these photographs hold a high valuation of...
Value-wise, I think that they would sell for between $25,000 and $30,000 for the group. So what would Herbie and Gertie say about this? Sell them!
The guest showcased a statue acquired when his parents purchased a house in Hawaii. Among their other antique furniture was this goddess of mercy seated on lotus leaves. The appraiser noticed the statue's features, such as the pinched face with downcast eyes, aquiline nose, and small, tight lips. Another intriguing aspect is the crown, adorned with small jeweled ornaments, primarily pearls. This decorative motif is echoed in the necklace adorning the statue's open chest. The sculpture's robes, sharp lines, and cascading folds indicated provincial craftsmanship. The appraiser pointed out the old visible repair indicating restoration. Additionally, the dark discoloration on the face was attributed to years of incense use. Once brightly colored, the statue now displays only faint traces of its original pigments on its surface. The bare wood used was known as nanmu, which offered durability, stability, and resistance to decay. Despite lacking definitive dating, the statue displayed characteristics reminiscent of the Liao dynasty. The remarkable piece's appraised value was estimated at around
$20,000. Okay.
This pear-shaped vase, passed down from the guest's great-grandfather on their father's side, is a treasured family heirloom that has been in their possession since 1970. This vase is of Chinese origin, specifically from the Qing dynasty.
And it's actually imperial. Done at the Imperial Kilns in Jingdezhen, right outside of modern-day Shanghai.
Identified as an imperial piece, this vase is distinguished by its classic shape, high-quality glaze, and a reign mark on the base indicating it was made during the reign of Emperor Yongzheng.
Yongzheng was an emperor that had a very short reign from 1723 to 1735.
Despite some dark patches on the glaze, which suggest a slight misfiring during production, this vase is considered rare and valuable due to its quality, condition, rarity, and provenance. Reflecting the current strong demand for Chinese art made by Imperial Kilns in the market, the appraiser estimates that this vase could fetch between
about $30,000 to $50,000.
You're kidding me.
No.
But
You have ruined my day.
I'm sorry.
Acquired 37 years ago in the French Quarter of New Orleans, this Georgian-style secretary bookcase holds a special place as the guest's first antique purchase. Initially found in a storeroom covered in cobwebs, the piece captivated the guest.
Salesperson brought me in the storeroom. The light went out, so I saw it by flashlight.
Identified as an English piece from around 1900, mimicking 18th century Georgian design, the bookcase showcases a blend of styles from the Georgian era, spanning from George I to George IV, 1714 through 1837. The reduced size of the bookcase compared to its 18th century counterparts indicates its adaptability to modern houses, while its exquisite burl veneer, marquetry inlay, and classical design elements reflect Renaissance and early Roman architectural influences. Our guest purchased this bookcase for $8,000 in 1977 after some negotiation. Its current value is estimated to be in the range of
the $3,000 to $5,000 range. But
you have ruined my day.
I'm sorry.
This piece is called an architect's table, which was gifted to the guest.
When this piece was made about 1725, 1730, it was a brand new form of furniture.
It was an elegant, high-style piece of furniture, which the table extended to make a larger, flat area. It can be turned into a little lectern, and there are lots of cubby holes in it. Underneath this piece is a great spot for storage and little side panels which open up for drawers. There are 3 graduated doors to store a lot of things. This piece features a decoupage-like wallpaper in the inside space.
And there are details on this piece which really make it elegant. And I wanted to just draw attention to the 3 Corinthian columns across the front.
It has reeded columns taper, which makes the form light, and the wood is burled veneers. They spared no expense when it came to the materials used for this piece, and despite not being in vogue anymore, would still auction for...
If this were to come to auction, we'd put a conservative estimate of $4,000 to $6,000. If you're insuring it, I would say $12,000, $15,000 for a piece like this.
The guest's parents acquired these enamel porcelain on copper plaques during a trip to China in the late 1970s. These plaques, depicting a scholar with an attendant, are examples of Canton enamel.
And these are wonderful examples of the relationship that the East and West had.
Despite some damage, such as surface scratching and a fracture in the enamel, these plaques are considered to be of high quality and are not common tourist decorative items. The subject matter and size of these plaques suggest they may have been intended for use as either a hanging painting or an insert into furniture in China. These plaques serve as a beautiful example of the artistry and craftsmanship of Canton enamel, reflecting a period of cultural exchange and artistic collaboration between China and the West. In terms of value, each plaque is estimated to be worth between
an auction estimate of $5,000 to $8,000 on it.
Wow. Is this for the pair or?
This is for a single.
Wow.
So a pair, I would put an auction estimate at $12,000 to $18,000.
That's amazing, beyond my expectations. My mother-in-law would be very happy.
This bronze sculpture, titled The Last Drop, depicts a cavalryman feeding his horse water. The sculpture belongs to the guest's husband. This piece bears a copyright date of 1903, and it's signed by the artist Charles Schreivogel, indicating that it was cast during Schreivogel's lifetime.
Schreivogel was contemporary with Frederick Remington, and Remington was the famous sculptor of cowboys and Indians.
Quite interesting, the sculpture features intricate details which include the saddle, bridle, saddle bag, and stirrup, highlighting the artist's attention to realism. Also, the sculpture is cast by the Roman Bronze Works in New York, a leading foundry at the time, and is valued at
between $60,000 and $90,000.
That's amazing, beyond my expectations. My mother-in-law would be very happy.
Right here is a tribal art collection of the Native Americans. This collection includes a peace pipe, gaming pieces, and a horse quirt, all with significant historical and cultural value.
The object at the bottom is a peace pipe, a man's pipe.
The peace pipe features intricate brass wrapping and tacks with a slender bowl engraved with a human head. Also, the gaming pieces are beautifully crafted with engraving paintings and copper inlays.
Quality of the engraving on this is phenomenal. It's as good as the best ledger drawings we have ever seen. This man's hunting a buffalo.
However, the standout piece is the horse quirt, made from elk antler, featuring exceptional engraving, and it's estimated to be worth
$30,000 to $35,000. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It is an extraordinary work of art. One of the great...
If someone told you that today's item was made for royalty, you wouldn't argue because the sheer elegance of this furnace lamp is top tier. Made by Tiffany, this elegant furnace lamp is a perfect representation of exquisite items created with attention to detail. Tiffany, being an expert artist and designer, made this with a wire mesh and then enameled it to give it that exquisite look and royal feeling. As an item that was created by the famed Tiffany, this furnace lamp fetches a hefty price of
between $5,000 and $7,000.
Okay.
The guest shared a heartfelt story about her attachment to a chest once owned by a lady she worked for. After the lady passed away, her daughter gifted the chest to the guest. The chest was adorned with remarkable paintings depicting various hunting dogs. Upon closer inspection, it was noted that the chest lacked dovetails and was glued together, indicating it was likely crafted in the late 19th or early 20th century. Even though it tried to replicate an antique appearance with carved and chipped details, the chest was originally made from walnut. While a plain walnut cabinet might typically only fetch for around $200 at auction, the addition of the painted scene significantly increased its worth to be around...
Could sell for easily $2,000 at auction in terms of value, and possibly even more.
Gifted by a dear friend, this vibrant rug adorns the owner's wall.
I love the colors in it. I like color, obviously.
Crafted in the Caucasus region, it's known as a chichi, boasting bold geometric designs. Measuring a charming 3 by 3 feet, its small size enhances the beauty of its detailed patterns and dates back to the 1920s. Vibrant colors captivate, weaving a spell of love and fascination. Its age adds to its allure, making it a vintage and valuable treasure estimated at auction for...
Probably talking about a valuation of $1,000 to $1,500.
Wow, that is incredible.
These portrait miniatures of Frederick Seymour and Prudence Minor, painted by an American artist, Mary Way, are treasured family heirlooms with a fascinating history. Frederick Seymour, a sea captain and merchant, and his wife Prudence lived in Hartford, and their portraits have descended through generations since they were painted in the late 18th century. Mary Way, known for her versatility in portrait miniatures, uniquely specialized in dressed miniatures.
And what is so marvelous about her work is she's the only American miniaturist that we know of that worked in a three-dimensional manner called dressed miniature.
Prudence's portrait showcases intricate details like her transparent hat and gauze dress with embroidered flowers, demonstrating Mary Way's exceptional skill and attention to detail. These miniatures, though not in their original frames, are exemplary of Mary Way's talent, and these miniatures are estimated to be valued between...
I would conservatively estimate that these would be in the $20,000 to $30,000 range.
Yikes.
Nice to know.
These Currier and Ives prints were gifted to the guest's father upon his retirement from the Smithsonian Institute in the early 1970s, and passed down to the guest about 15 years ago. Currier and Ives, the prominent publisher of prints in the 19th century, specialized in hand-colored lithographs with...
The size is called small folio, and they've been copied over and over and over again.
The prints, dating back to the 1870s, depict scenes from the American West, reflecting the era's great Western migration in the California Gold Rush. The prints' scarcity and subject matter make them more desirable among collectors, particularly the Yosemite Valley, which features the Pioneer Cabin and is highly regarded. In terms of value, the prints are estimated to be worth between $5,700.
Wow, that's great.
Despite their monetary value, these prints reflect a period of American exploration and migration.
This woman unveils a trio of treasures inherited from her maternal grandmother. The first piece is an Art Deco brooch, a captivating example of 1920s design.
I know that is very old, and I would imagine that my grandfather got that at an estate sale.
This American-made masterpiece features a classic bow form adorned with sparkling old European-cut diamonds. Next, we see an emerald ring. Interestingly, the grandmother wore it even while doing housework. It possibly has South American origins, like the Chivor mine in Colombia.
Diamonds, as you know, and I would date it from the late 30s, early 40s. I see.
The final piece is a ring featuring a 3-carat diamond with a unique elongated shape. The diamond's unusual brownish-pinkish tone adding to its intrigue. This incredible ring most likely crafted in New York during the 1930s to 1950s. The Art Deco brooch is estimated at $3,000 to $4,000, the emerald ring in the same age, but the star of the show is the diamond ring, valued between
$8,000 to $12,000. Okay. So I think your grandfather did some good shopping.
I think he did too. My grandmother would be thrilled if she knew.
You might sometimes think that the most important treasures are jewelry, but that's not often the case, as can be seen with these beer steins passed down to our guest. German steins are traditional beer mugs made of ceramic, stoneware, or even pewter. These steins were made by a company called the Mettlach Factory, and the symbol of this factory can be seen on the steins. Another piece of importance is the date, which tells us when these mugs were made. Along with a larger number on the underside denoting the mug's model number, these Mettlach steins are highly collectible because of the interest in ale and beer throughout the years, and would go for
$450 to $500, and this one would be worth slightly less, having the full metal cover rather than the inlaid cover at $400 to $450. But they're both very collectible.
Here are 2 oil paintings on canvas. They were a wedding gift to our guest parents. These paintings were created by the renowned artist Albert Bierstadt. Albert was a German-American painter best known for his landscapes of the American West. This raises questions about the originality of one of these paintings. The unusual seascape painting depicts an East Coast scene. The signatures the paintings bear are not likely to be from the artist himself.
In terms of the way they're done. So it's my feeling that there's a possibility that these might have been signed by a family member as opposed to by Bierstadt himself.
The frames of the paintings are from a much later period, dating to around the mid-20th century, whereas the paintings themselves date to the 19th century. Although the paintings are in awful condition, if they are indeed original pieces by the renowned artist, they would be worth at least
the neighborhood of $50,000.
No kidding.
The seascape.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Presented on the show is a piece of Olympic history.
36 Olympics.
Really?
In Berlin.
In the British team?
Yes.
This collection belonged to the guest mother. Quite interesting, the event features prominent stars like Jesse Owens, a track and field star who won 4 gold medals in different categories, becoming the most successful athletes of the Games at the time. As seen, the collection includes a Great Britain costume, a swimming badge, and a photograph. Also, the photograph features the guest mother and her trainer. However, this collection of Olympic history embodies the spirit of champions and is worth...
It's difficult to put a value on these things. To an Olympic collector would be £200, £300, simply because they're buying a piece of Olympic history.
One of the things that enthralls men is cars. The piece on show today is a toy car. It's a Ford Fairlane toy car that was popular, produced by the Ford Motor Company, and available in various scales. This piece can also move forward and backward. This beauty of a car model would be worth
twice as much what you paid for it. Thank you.
Passed down to her by her grandfather, at first look this musical instrument resembles a guitar, but in actual sense is a zither. Zithers are musical instruments that consist of many strings stretched across a flat body. A zither sound is usually confused with a banjo, but it still sounds a bit more distinct. To many, it might look easy to play since it closely resembles a guitar. However, since it's a concert zither, it's more complex. We can notice harp-like strings on the zither coupled with some engravings which beautify the instrument.
This is a fretted, like a guitar fretboard that's played with tunable strings here, and then you have your harp strings here.
This instrument type is more famous in native Germany and represents the peak of German musical culture. Therefore, auctions at
A beautifully made instrument like this, with beautiful rosewood on the face of it, beautiful ebony carving, a retail value of $800 to $1,000.
All right.
The guest brought a stilt step that had been in her family for generations. The item originally belonged to the guest's uncle and was later given to her mother. The appraiser identified it as a stilt step from the Marquesas Islands. It was used in competitions where individuals rode stilts and engaged in contests, like pushing each other off or racing.
And the gentleman who was riding the stilts would put his foot in here.
The carving featured a tiki figure central to Marquesan culture, with intricate details representing tattooing. Additionally, the appraiser pointed out that the carving on the inside provided a grip for the foot. It was likely made from toromiro wood or other wood found along the seashore. The piece dated back to the early 19th century and was of standard size for this type of item. Considered a powerful figure, its retail value would comfortably be around
Very comfortable at $7,000 to $8,000.
Really?
Oh, yes.
This collection of Le Maître de l'Affiche, acquired almost 20 years ago from an auction in Paris, represents a complete set of 256 posters in pristine condition. Originally issued as a collector's edition, these posters are smaller, more easily handled versions of the original billboard-sized posters, featuring works by renowned artists such as...
There's some works by Toulouse-Lautrec. There's some works by Alphonse Mucha. There's some works by Jules Cheret, and a poster by Steinlen.
Each poster in the collection bears a faint embossed stamp.
And every single one of them will have that embossed stamp, and that will tell you that it's part of the series.
The guest acquired the entire collection for $8,000, and their exceptional condition, with wax paper and portfolio sleeves, adds to their value and rarity. Despite being reproductions, these posters are highly sought after by collectors and dealers alike, as they were printed between 1896 and 1900, making them artifacts of the same era as the originals. At auction, a set in lesser condition could fetch between...
Would sell for $45,000.
Oh my God.
The guest presented a Vermont militia coat.
It has these wonderful Vermont buttons.
This coat is a historical military garment that dates back to the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The coats were worn by members of the Vermont militia local military force that played a role in the American Revolutionary War. The coats were made of wool and featured distinctive colors and designs that identified the wearer as a member of the militia. The piece often had Vermont buttons and epaulets and was worn with a tricorn hat. This piece is a symbol of the state's military history and heritage, with its value estimated to be...
And I think this is probably $25,000 to $30,000.
Oh my God. Thank you. I had no idea.
We are presented with a sturdy piece of furniture on the show today, brought by a guest who inherited it from his mother.
I thought that it was made, at least in the southeast. I didn't know which state.
This piece is called a hunt board, measuring around 40 inches in height. Fascinatingly, it was made from yellow pine wood. Furthermore, the 4 feet of this item are original, which is often not the case, making it a rare find. The sides are paneled, suggesting this hunt board was made circa 1810 to 1820.
It's kind of hard to date things like that because country cabinet makers made lots of things out of period.
Additionally, this item has a varnish finish visible all around its surface. Although the hunt board was made almost 2 centuries ago, it still retains its originality. At auction, this vintage piece of furniture is estimated to be worth
$12,000.
My goodness. That's great.
Guests brought in a remarkable textile they inherited from their grand-aunt, Caroline. The textile had been packed away for 30 years after Caroline's passing, and finding its way to the guest through their mother. The textile is a piece of Chinese brocade, specifically woven during the Kangxi Emperor's reign from 1662 to 1722. The powerful, icy dragons depicted on the textile were a signature design element of that period. The intricate gold threads were confirmed to be real gold, woven into the design. The clouds, pearls, and especially the 5-clawed dragons were all reserved for imperial use. The original color, likely a vibrant yellow, had faded over time. While this piece would have fetched around $300 a decade ago due to its condition, current market trends placed its value at
this textile would probably sell at auction for somewhere between $6,000 to $8,000 right now.